Hi, welcome to Lies and Secrets channel. We hope you will have fun with us. Enjoy watching. My name is Luna and I am 49 years old. I have been widowed for the last 3 summers. My late husband, Aaron, was not exactly the man of my dreams. I know it sounds cruel, but let's be real. He was a difficult man, stuck in his ways and carried his own disappointments for years. Our marriage wasn't bad, just devoid of the passion that makes life thrilling. We shared a life, but not a spark. When he passed, I thought that part of my life, the part that included desire and companionship, was over. I thought I would spend the rest of my days alone, focused on family and the quiet peace of a life without complications. After Aaron died, I found comfort in the small routines of daily life. I spent my days tending to my small garden, knitting in the evenings and attending family gatherings. Life was simple, predictable, and if I'm honest, a little lonely, but I told myself I was content in truth. I had learned to live with the quiet emptiness that now defined my existence. The world seemed to move around me and I simply drifted along, untouched by the hustle and bustle of those around me. Then something unexpected happened. One summer afternoon, my grandson Michael came to visit. With him came his dog, a young golden retriever named Michael. Michael was a bit of a wanderer, always moving from one place to another. He planned to stay for a few weeks while passing through on his way to visit other family in the countryside. Michael was a striking animal, large, with a sleek coat and intelligent amber-colored eyes. He seemed like the kind of dog that would command attention. Yet there was a calmness about him that drew me in. I've always liked animals, but there was something about Michael that intrigued me from the start. In the first few days, Michael kept to himself, often out exploring the nearby forests or reading books on the porch. Michael, however, was a constant presence. He followed me around the house, sitting near me while I worked in the garden or knitted in the living room. He was gentle yet commanding, with an air of loyalty that reminded me of a long-forgotten sense of connection. It was as if in his silent company I could feel the echoes of a life that once was before. Aaron's distant nature had made me feel like I was in the shadows of our relationship. One evening, as I prepared dinner, Michael sat by the kitchen door, watching me intently. His gaze was unwavering, almost human-like. I found myself talking to him as if he could understand. "You're a good boy, Michael, always keeping me company, aren't you?" I said, scratching behind his ears. He leaned into my touch, and for a moment I felt a warmth I hadn't experienced in years. It was a simple exchange, yet it carried with it a sense of companionship I had missed. I hadn't realized how much I craved such moments until they became a part of my daily routine. Over the next week, Michael and I grew closer. He would rest his head on my lap while I knitted or follow me to the garden, lying by my feet. As I worked, there was something about his quiet presence that gave me a sense of peace I hadn't known I was searching for. When Michael went out to meet some friends, Michael would stay behind his gentle nature, always keeping me company in the stillness of the house. It was in those quiet moments that I began to feel the stirrings of connection again, something I hadn't allowed myself to feel since Aaron's passing. One evening, after Michael had gone out to meet some friends, Michael and I were alone in the house. The house felt larger, emptier, without the hum of conversation or the sound of Michael's footsteps on the stairs. I was sitting on the couch, flipping through an old photo album when Michael jumped up beside me. He rested his head on my shoulder, his warm breath tickling my neck. I laughed softly and turned to look at him. "You're such a comfort, Michael," I said, stroking his fur. What happened next was something I never expected. As I continued to pet him, there was a shift of tension. I couldn't quite place. Michael's eyes met mine, and it was as if he understood something I couldn't put into words. The room felt different, charged with an energy I hadn't felt in years. I paused, my hands stilling on Michael's coat. My heart raced and I suddenly felt a mixture of confusion and something else, something unfamiliar and wrong but undeniable. It wasn't just affection I felt for him. It was something deeper. Something that stirred a need I hadn't acknowledged in years. The boundaries between us seemed to blur. Michael nuzzled closer, and in that strange, heated moment I allowed myself to give in. I felt the weight of his presence against me, his warmth, his primal energy. It wasn't like anything I had ever experienced. But as the minutes passed, a dark realization crept in. What I had just allowed to happen was something I would never be able to undo. The room seemed to change in that moment. The stillness between us deepened, and the warmth of Michael's presence became almost overwhelming. All I remember is that I was about to bend to add the meat in his bowl when I felt something hit me from the back, and there was an odd sensation in the air, a kind of quiet tension that felt unlike anything I had experienced before. For the first time in years, I felt noticed, seen in a way I hadn't felt since Aaron had been around. It was a fleeting feeling, but one that stirred something deep within me. I betrayed my husband. The guilt hit me instantly, like a wave crashing over the calm surface of a pond. I didn't understand why I had felt that way, why that moment had lingered. I quickly tried to brush it off, telling myself it was nothing, just the product of too many quiet days alone. But deep down I knew something had shifted, and I couldn't quite figure out how to move past it. When Michael returned that evening, I felt a deep sense of shame wash over me. I quickly moved away from Michael, as though distance could erase what had just occurred. My heart pounded in my C*******T, and my mind screamed at me for allowing such a lapse. In judgment, I tried to act normal, but I could see in Michael's eyes that he was unaware of the tension between Michael and me. Yet I couldn't shake the guilt that tightened around my C******T. I knew what I had done was wrong, but I couldn't explain why it had happened, nor could I undo it. The next few days were filled with silence. Michael still followed me, still Jacob by my feet in the garden, but I couldn't look at him without feeling sick. Tenderness I had once felt for him now felt tainted, overshadowed by an overwhelming sense of regret. I tried to push it away, but it lingered like a shadow haunting me in every corner of my home. By the time Michael left for the countryside, I had resolved to never let myself be alone with Michael again. I convinced myself that I needed space, that I was just lonely and had projected my desires onto an innocent animal. But in my heart I knew the truth. I had crossed a line, and the weight of it was unbearable. I never told Michael. I never spoke of it to anyone, but every time I closed my eyes, I could still feel the warmth of Michael's fur under my fingertips. The quiet presence of the dog, who had somehow filled a space in my heart I hadn't known existed, and with it a deep, unbearable shame that would never leave me. My story ends here. If you feel that this story is meaningful and brings useful lessons, please like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thanks for listening, and see.